Welcome to English Guru. Improve your English through engaging stories, listening practice, and fun learning. Whether you're a beginner or advanced learner, our content will help you grow your vocabulary, pronunciation, and comprehension. Subscribe now and start your English learning journey with us.
The Mysterious Letter. It was a chilly, rainy evening in London. The streets were wet, glistening under the dim glow of the streetlights. Charlotte Evans, a 21-year-old university student, sat in her tiny apartment, wrapped in a thick blanket. The sound of rain hitting the window was oddly soothing. Charlotte was studying for her upcoming English literature exam. Books lay open on her desk, a steaming cup of tea beside her. She had always loved mystery novels, but she never imagined she would find herself in one. Then it happened. There was a knock at the door. Charlotte frowned. Who could it be at this hour? It was already past 11 p.m., and she wasn't expecting anyone. She got up hesitantly and walked towards the door. When she opened it, there was no one there. Her heart pounded. But then she noticed something on the floor. A small, yellowed envelope, old and fragile, with her name written in beautiful cursive handwriting. She bent down, picked it up, and carefully tore it open. Inside was a folded note. The message was short and cryptic. "If you want to know the truth, meet me at the old clock tower at midnight." Charlotte's breath caught in her throat. What truth? Who sent this? And why at midnight? The rain had stopped, but the air was still cold and damp as Charlotte made her way to the old St. George Clock Tower, an ancient landmark in the city. Her footsteps echoed on the empty cobblestone streets. She was nervous, but curious. By the time she reached the tower, the clock was about to strike 12. The hands slowly moved to midnight, and the deep, resounding chimes rang through the silent night. Charlotte shivered. The place was deserted. Or so she thought. Then, out of the shadows, a tall man in a long black coat stepped forward. "Charlotte Evans?" he asked in a deep voice. She hesitated but nodded. The man handed her an old photograph. Charlotte's eyes widened as she stared at the image. It was a picture of her mother, smiling, young, standing next to a man she had never seen before. Charlotte's hands trembled. "Who is this man?" she asked. The stranger sighed. "That's the question you need to answer. Your mother had a secret past, and it's time for you to know." Charlotte's mind raced. Her mother, Margaret Evans, had always been a simple, kind woman. She worked as a librarian, loved baking, and never spoke about anything unusual. But now, a stranger was telling her she had a secret life. "Who are you?" she demanded. The man hesitated. "I knew your mother a long time ago. She worked on something dangerous." Charlotte shook her head. "No, you must be mistaken. My mother was just a librarian." The man sighed. "That's what she wanted you to believe. She was part of a highly classified research project, one that many people wanted to keep buried. And someone is watching you, Charlotte." Charlotte's blood ran cold. "Watching me? Why?" The man handed her another paper. "Because you are the last piece of the puzzle. It was a birth certificate, hers. But something was wrong. The father's name was missing." Charlotte took a step back, her mind spinning. "Who was my father?" she asked. The man didn't answer. He just looked around nervously. "We don't have much time. They might be watching." "Who?" Charlotte whispered. Before the man could reply, the sound of footsteps echoed in the dark alley behind them. Charlotte's heart pounded. Someone was coming. The man grabbed her arm. "Run!" Without thinking, Charlotte ran. They dashed through the empty streets, the cold wind biting her face. Behind them, shadows moved. Someone was following them. The man led her through narrow alleys, twisting and turning until they reached a hidden underground passage. He pulled open a rusty door and pushed her inside. "Stay here," he whispered. "I'll lead them away." Before she could argue, he disappeared into the night. Charlotte sat in the darkness, her heart racing. She had too many questions and no answers. After what felt like an eternity, Charlotte gathered her courage and pulled out the old photograph again. She turned it over and saw something faintly written on the back. She squinted in the dim light. It read, "Find the book. The truth is inside." Charlotte's eyes widened. A book? What book? Suddenly, she knew where to go. Her mother's old library. She rushed out of the underground passage and hailed a taxi. If her mother left a clue, it had to be there. By the time she reached the library, it was nearly 3 a.m. The place was dark, but Charlotte had a spare key. She stepped inside, her heart pounding. The smell of old books surrounded her. She walked to the back, where her mother's favorite books were kept. That's when she saw it. A small, leather-bound book, covered in dust, hidden behind a row of encyclopedias. She picked it up and opened the cover. Inside, there was a letter addressed to her. It read, "My dearest Charlotte, if you are reading this, it means the time has come. You deserve to know the truth. You are in danger, but you are also the key to everything. Trust no one, except the man who gave you this clue. He is the only one who can help you now." Charlotte's hands shook as she finished the letter. She heard a noise behind her. Someone else was there. Charlotte froze. The air inside the library was still and silent, except for the faint creak of an old wooden floorboard behind her. Someone else was there. She turned around slowly, her heart pounding like a drum. A man in a dark coat stood near the entrance, partially hidden in the shadows. His face was barely visible, but she could see his piercing blue eyes, sharp and watchful. "Who are you?" Charlotte asked, trying to keep her voice steady. The man took a step forward. "That's the wrong question," he said in a calm, chilling voice. "The real question is, what have you found?" Charlotte clenched the letter in her hand. Was he one of the people following her earlier? "Just some old books," she said, trying to sound casual. The man tilted his head. "Then why do you look so nervous?" "Think, Charlotte, think," she told herself. Her eyes darted around the room, looking for an escape. The only way out was the main entrance, where he was standing. She took a deep breath. "I don't know what you're talking about. I work here. Who are you?" The man smirked. "Let's just say, I'm interested in your mother's past, and in you." Charlotte felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you want from me?" she asked. The man took another step forward, closing the distance between them. "A book. The one you're holding?" Charlotte instinctively clutched the book to her chest. This book had secrets. Secrets someone didn't want her to know. The man sighed. "You don't understand what you're getting yourself into, Charlotte. Hand it over, and I'll let you walk away." His voice was polite, but his eyes were cold and threatening. Charlotte had to act fast. Before the man could move closer, Charlotte did the only thing she could think of. She threw the book across the room. The man's eyes followed it for just a second. That second was all she needed. She ran. She sprinted past the man, dodging his outstretched hand. He lunged at her, but she ducked under his arm and bolted towards the exit. "Charlotte!" he shouted. "Stop!" But she didn't stop. She pushed open the library doors and ran into the cold night. Her legs burned, but she kept running. The streets were empty, the streetlights casting long shadows. She could hear footsteps behind her. He was chasing her. Charlotte turned a corner, her breath ragged. She had to hide, fast. Then she saw it, an open taxi parked near a coffee shop. Without hesitation, she jumped inside. "Drive!" she gasped. "Now!" The taxi driver blinked in surprise, but stepped on the accelerator. As the car pulled away, Charlotte turned to look through the back window. The man stood at the corner, watching her. His blue eyes locked onto hers. He didn't run after her. He just stood there, smiling. Charlotte's hands trembled as she took out the letter again. What had she just escaped from? The taxi driver glanced at her in the mirror. "You okay, miss?" I don't know," she admitted. The driver nodded. "Where to?" Charlotte hesitated. Where could she go? Then she remembered. The man in the black coat, the one who had warned her before, told her to trust only him. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small slip of paper he had given her earlier. It had a name and an address. Mr. Henry Carter, 42 Willow Street. "Take me to Willow Street," she said. The driver nodded. As the taxi moved through the quiet streets, Charlotte stared at the letter. "You are the key to everything." What did it mean? Who was after her, and what secret had her mother been hiding? By the time Charlotte reached Willow Street, the sun was beginning to rise. She stepped out of the taxi and stood in front of a small, old-fashioned house with a white door. There was no sign of life inside. She knocked. No answer. She knocked again, harder. This time the door creaked open. Cautiously, Charlotte stepped inside. The house was dimly lit, filled with the scent of old books and coffee. A man in his 60s, with graying hair and kind eyes, sat in an armchair. "Charlotte Evans," he said, as if he had been expecting her. "You know who I am?" she asked. Henry Carter nodded. "And I know what you're looking for." Charlotte took a deep breath. What was my mother hiding? Henry studied her for a moment, then slowly walked over to a bookshelf. He pulled out an old, dusty novel, one that looked completely ordinary. Then, to Charlotte's surprise, he pressed a hidden button on the shelf. A small compartment opened behind the books. Inside, there was a metal safe. Henry turned to her. "Your mother left this for you. It holds the answers you're searching for." Charlotte's heart pounded. She reached out and touched the safe. It was locked. "Do you have the key?" she asked. Henry shook his head. "No, your mother left the key with someone else." "Who?" he sighed. "The last person you'd expect." Charlotte felt a wave of frustration. More mysteries, more questions. "Please," she said. "I need to know. Who has the key?" Henry hesitated, then finally spoke. "Your mother's best friend, Lillian Gray." Charlotte's breath caught in her throat. Lillian Gray was her mother's childhood friend. She had known her all her life, and she had died 2 years ago. So where was the key now? Charlotte's head spun. Could it be hidden somewhere? Did Lillian leave a message before she died? Before she could ask anything else, Henry's phone rang. He answered it, his expression growing tense. Then he turned to Charlotte. His face was pale. "We need to leave. Now." Charlotte's stomach twisted. What happened? Henry's voice was barely a whisper. "They've found us." Charlotte's pulse raced. Henry Carter grabbed his coat and motioned for her to move quickly. "They know you're here," he said. "We have to leave. Now." Charlotte glanced outside. A black car was parked across the street. Two men in dark suits stepped out, looking directly at Henry's house. No time to think. Henry pulled a book from the shelf and pressed another hidden button. A trap door creaked open beneath the carpet. "This way," he urged. Charlotte didn't hesitate. She climbed down into the hidden tunnel beneath the house. Henry followed and shut the trap door just as the front door burst open. Above them, heavy footsteps echoed. "We need to move fast," Henry whispered. "This tunnel leads to the other side of the street." Charlotte's mind was racing. Who were these men? Why were they after the safe? And most importantly, where was the key? After 10 minutes of crawling through the narrow tunnel, they emerged behind an old bakery. The street was empty. Charlotte wiped the dust from her hands. What now? Henry pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "We need to find the key." Charlotte shook her head. "But Lillian is dead." Henry looked at her. "Yes, but she left something behind." Charlotte's eyes widened. "A message?" Henry nodded. "And I think I know where it is." An hour later, they arrived at Rosewood Cemetery, where Lillian was buried. Charlotte's stomach tightened as she saw the old oak tree near the entrance, Lillian's favorite spot. She always said, "Secrets are safest where memories are strongest," Charlotte whispered. Henry nodded. "That means it's here." They searched under the tree, pushing aside fallen leaves. Then Charlotte's fingers touched something cold and metallic. A small, rusted box. Her heart pounded as she lifted it. Was this the key? Henry helped her open the box. Inside was a note and a locket. Charlotte unfolded the note, her hands trembling. "Charlotte, if you're reading this, then the past has found you. Your mother trusted me to keep the key safe, but the key is not metal. It is a name, a person. Find him, and you will unlock everything." The name was written at the bottom in Lillian's handwriting. Jonathan Evans. Charlotte's breath caught. Her own father. Charlotte stared at the name. "My father," she whispered. "But he died when I was little." Henry's expression darkened. "No, Charlotte," he said quietly. "That's what you were told." Charlotte's knees felt weak. Had her whole life been a lie? Henry continued. "Your father isn't dead. He's been in hiding. Because he knew something. Something dangerous." Charlotte's heart pounded. She had to find him. With Henry's help, Charlotte tracked down an old cabin in Scotland, a place where her father had once lived. Inside, covered in dust, was a journal. Charlotte flipped through the pages, searching for answers. Then she found it. A page with her mother's handwriting. "If anything happens to me, Charlotte must know the truth. The secret is not gold, not money. It is knowledge. A secret so powerful that people would kill to keep it hidden." Charlotte's hands shook as she read the last line. The location of the missing treasure of the royal family. Her breath caught. This was what they were after. A hidden treasure that had been lost for centuries, and her mother had known where it was. Before Charlotte could process it, a loud noise came from outside the cabin. She looked up. Black SUVs were pulling in. Henry grabbed her arm. "They found us." Charlotte clutched the journal to her chest. "Run," Henry whispered. They ran into the forest, dodging trees as gunshots echoed behind them. A helicopter roared above, its spotlight scanning the trees. Charlotte's lungs burned. She tripped on a root, falling hard. "Get up!" Henry pulled her up, just as men in black suits burst through the trees. One of them raised a gun. Charlotte closed her eyes. A shot rang out. Charlotte opened her eyes, expecting pain, but she was unharmed. One of the men had collapsed, shot by someone else. A man stepped out of the shadows, holding a gun. Charlotte gasped. The man had the same piercing blue eyes as her own. It was Jonathan Evans, her father. "Dad?" she whispered. He nodded. "I've been waiting for you, Charlotte." Tears filled her eyes. "You're alive?" Jonathan stepped forward. "I had to disappear, to keep you safe." Charlotte handed him the journal. Mom knew the truth. Jonathan took a deep breath as he looked at the page. "The treasure," he said. "It's real." Henry nodded. "And we need to find it before they do." Charlotte looked at her father. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about finishing what her mother started. It was about finding the truth before it was lost forever. And she knew this was just the beginning. Charlotte Evans stood in the dimly lit cabin, her father Jonathan beside her, holding the tattered journal that contained the most well-kept secret in British history, the lost treasure of the royal family. They had barely escaped their pursuers, a powerful organization known as the Order, who would stop at nothing to claim the treasure for themselves. "We don't have much time," Jonathan said, flipping through the pages. "Your mother left a trail, and we need to follow it before the Order finds us." Charlotte nodded, her heart pounding. She had spent her life believing her father was dead, only to find out he had been in hiding, guarding a secret so valuable it could change history. Now, together, they were about to embark on the most dangerous journey of their lives. The journal led them to their first destination, an old chapel in the Scottish Highlands. According to her mother's notes, the chapel held a hidden compartment containing a map to the treasure's location. As they approached the ancient stone building, Charlotte noticed the eerie silence. "Are we sure no one else knows about this place?" she whispered. Jonathan hesitated before responding. "I wish I could say yes. But if we found this clue, the Order might have too." Inside, the chapel was cold and filled with the scent of damp stone. They moved cautiously to the altar, where a faded engraving of a lion and crown caught Charlotte's eye. She ran her fingers over the engraving. "This must be it." Jonathan nodded and pressed on the lion's paw. A soft click echoed in the silence. The altar shifted slightly, revealing a small hidden compartment. Inside was a parchment map, yellowed with age, with coordinates leading to their next destination, Rome. Before they could celebrate, the sound of approaching footsteps made Charlotte's breath hitch. "They're here," Jonathan said. "We need to run." The moment they stepped outside, men in dark suits surrounded them. One of them, a tall man with sharp features, smirked. "Going somewhere?" Jonathan gripped Charlotte's arm. "Stay close." The next few seconds felt like a blur. Jonathan grabbed a smoke grenade from his coat and threw it to the ground. The explosion of smoke gave them just enough cover to sprint toward their getaway car. Charlotte threw herself into the passenger seat as Jonathan started the engine. Tires screeched as they sped away, bullets ricocheting off the ground behind them. As they raced down the winding mountain roads, Charlotte clutched the map in her hands. "Rome," she said breathlessly. "What's waiting for us there?" Jonathan's grip on the wheel tightened. The second key to the treasure, and hopefully some answers. Their journey led them to the Vatican secret archives, where centuries of hidden documents were stored. According to the map, the second clue was hidden within one of the oldest manuscripts in the collection. But gaining access wasn't easy. With the help of an old friend, Professor Luca Moretti, a historian who owed Jonathan a favor, they infiltrated the underground vaults. Charlotte marveled at the endless rows of ancient books and scrolls. "Where do we even start?" Moretti pointed toward a sealed case, labeled Codex Regalis. That manuscript contains references to the treasure. As Jonathan carefully pried the case open, Charlotte held her breath. Inside was an aged parchment, covered in Latin script. Charlotte translated the key passage aloud. The key to the throne lies beneath the city of the fallen empire. Jonathan's eyes darkened. That means the next clue is in the ruins of ancient Rome. Before they could process the revelation, alarms blared throughout the vault. The Vatican guards had been alerted. "We have to go, now," Moretti urged. They barely made it out before the guards arrived, blending into the crowd outside the Vatican. Charlotte looked at her father. "What now?" Jonathan smiled faintly. "We follow history." The next night, Charlotte and Jonathan navigated the labyrinthine catacombs of St. Calixtus, following the clues left in the manuscript. After hours of searching, Charlotte found an inscription on the wall. "Beneath the emperor's gaze, the key shall rest." Jonathan's expression turned serious. "That means the answer lies under the Colosseum." But before they could make a plan, torches flickered behind them. The order had followed them. Charlotte and Jonathan raced through the tunnels, reaching an ancient chamber beneath the Colosseum. There, resting on an ornate pedestal, was a golden medallion, engraved with the same lion and crown symbol. Jonathan stepped forward to retrieve it, but a gunshot echoed through the chamber. The leader of the order stood in the doorway, gun in hand. "You've come far," he said, "but the treasure belongs to us." Charlotte's mind raced. If they didn't act fast, all would be lost. Then she remembered the smoke grenade trick her father had used before. She grabbed the pouch of ancient dust from the chamber floor and threw it into the air, creating a blinding cloud. Jonathan tackled the leader, while Charlotte grabbed the medallion. "Run!" Jonathan shouted. With bullets flying, Charlotte and Jonathan barely escaped the catacombs. As they emerged into the moonlit streets of Rome, Charlotte clutched the medallion tightly. "What now?" she asked breathlessly. Jonathan examined the back of the medallion, revealing an engraving of a small island. His eyes lit up. This is where the treasure is buried." Charlotte stared at him. "Where is it?" Jonathan turned to her, a determined gleam in his eyes. "Oak Island." Their journey took them to Oak Island, where they deciphered the final clues, braving deadly traps and outsmarting the order. Beneath the island's ancient stone markers, they uncovered a hidden vault filled with gold, jewels, and centuries-old artifacts. But more importantly, they found something greater. A letter from Charlotte's mother, revealing that the true treasure was the knowledge of history itself, kept safe from those who would abuse it. As Charlotte and Jonathan stood together, victorious, she knew one thing for certain. This was not the end of their adventures. It was only the beginning.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Today, I'm going to talk about something that affects all of us, our mindset, and more specifically, the power of a positive mindset. In life, we all go through ups and downs. Some days bring happiness, while others bring struggles. But what makes a real difference is not what happens to us, but how we choose to respond. That choice is our mindset. And when that mindset is positive, hopeful, and strong, it becomes our biggest strength. So, what do I mean by a positive mindset? A positive mindset means looking at challenges as opportunities. It means believing that no matter how hard life gets, things will improve. It means being aware of your situation, but choosing to see light, not darkness. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about facing it with the belief, I can handle this. I will get through this. I will grow from this. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever met someone who seems calm even during the most stressful times? Someone who always finds a silver lining. Someone who lifts others up even when they are struggling themselves. That person is not lucky. That person has trained their mind to stay positive. And the good news is, you and I can do the same. Let's be real. Life is not always fair. Sometimes things don't go our way. Sometimes we lose. We fail. We fall. We get hurt. But the truth is, those moments don't define us. Our mindset does. Let me give you an example. Take the story of Thomas Edison. He failed hundreds of times while inventing the light bulb. When someone asked him, "How did you handle so many failures?" he replied, "I didn't fail. I just found 1,000 ways that didn't work." That is the power of a positive mindset. He didn't let failure stop him. He used it as fuel to move forward. Or think about Helen Keller, blind and deaf from a young age. But she didn't live in sadness. Instead, she said, "Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it." She went on to become a writer, a speaker, and an inspiration to millions. These people didn't live perfect lives. They didn't have an easy path, but they had the mindset to rise, to hope, and to grow. Let's bring this closer to home. Look at your own life. I'm sure you've had moments where you felt lost, confused, maybe even hopeless, but you're still here. You made it through. That proves you are stronger than you think. And that strength comes from the way you think, from your mindset. But here's the thing. We don't automatically become positive thinkers, just like we train our muscles in the gym. We need to train our mind to think positively. It's a daily choice, a daily habit. So how do we build a positive mindset? Let me share a few simple, powerful habits that can help. First, practice gratitude. Every morning or night, think of 3 things you're thankful for. It could be your health, your family, your job, your pet, anything. When you focus on what you have, instead of what you lack, your entire perspective shifts. Gratitude is the gateway to positivity. Second, watch your words. The way you talk to yourself matters. If you keep saying, "I can't," your brain will believe you. But if you say, "I'll try," "I can learn," or "I'm improving," your brain will believe that too. Your thoughts become your reality. Speak kindly to yourself. Third, surround yourself with positivity. Stay away from constant negativity. Whether it's people, media, or your own inner critic, reduce it. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who see the good in you, and who encourage your growth. Fourth, embrace challenges. Don't run from problems. Face them. Learn from them. Grow through them. Remember, diamonds are formed under pressure. Your challenges are shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, better. Fifth, take care of your body. Exercise, eat well, and get enough sleep. A healthy body supports a healthy mind. Even a 20-minute walk or some stretching can improve your mood and energy. Sixth, visualize your success. Take a few minutes daily to imagine yourself achieving your goals. Whether it's passing an exam, getting a job, or feeling more confident, see it clearly in your mind. Visualization helps train your brain to believe in what's possible. And lastly, stay present. Most of our worries come from thinking too much about the past or the future. But peace is always found in the present moment. Take a deep breath. Focus on now. Be mindful. Life is happening now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Now. Let's be honest. Negative thoughts will still come. Nobody can avoid them completely. But you can learn to catch them, question them, and change them. Next time you think, I'm not good enough, stop and ask, is that really true? Then say, I'm doing my best. I'm learning. I am enough. When you fail, instead of saying, I'm a failure, say, I failed at this, but I'm not a failure. I can try again. These little shifts in thinking can completely change your mood, your actions, and your future. Let me share another beautiful story. There's a man named Nick Vujicic. He was born without arms and legs. Just imagine the pain he must have felt, the challenges, the bullying, the loneliness. But today he travels the world as a motivational speaker. He has a wife, kids, a career, and most importantly, he has joy. He says, if you can't get a miracle, be one. That's what a positive mindset looks like. Friends, we live in a world full of distractions and comparisons. Social media shows us the highlights of others' lives, and sometimes we feel left behind. But please remember, your journey is yours. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Focus on your growth. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. A positive mindset is not something you switch on once. It's something you build every day, with practice, with patience, and with kindness toward yourself. Imagine what would happen if more people chose to be positive. Our homes would be more peaceful. Our workplaces would be more productive. Our communities would be more supportive. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing to see the good, to spread hope, and to rise after every fall. Let's do a little activity. I want you all to close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. Think of one thing you are grateful for today. Just one. Maybe it's a person, a memory, or simply the fact that you woke up healthy this morning. Now, smile. Hold that feeling. That is what positivity feels like. And you created it. Within seconds. That's the power you hold. Now open your eyes. 2. And I want to leave you with this message. You are stronger than you think. You are capable of more than you believe. And your mindset can either limit you or lead you. So choose a positive mindset. Not just today, but every day. Because when your mind is positive, your life begins to change. Thank you so much for listening. Keep believing. Keep growing. Keep shining. The world needs more people like you, with a positive mindset. Hello everyone. Let me begin with a question. Have you ever tried to learn something new, like speaking English fluently, and felt completely stuck, impatient, or frustrated? You start strong, full of motivation. You watch videos, read books, download apps. But after a few days or weeks, the excitement fades. You compare yourself to others. You feel like you're not improving fast enough. And soon, You think, maybe I'm just not good at this. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. But the problem is not your ability. It's your approach. And that's why today, I want to introduce you to a powerful idea that has changed the way I think, work, and learn. The practicing mind. This concept, inspired by the book by Thomas M. Sterner, is based on a simple truth. Mastery, peace, and growth don't come from chasing results. They come from falling in love with the process. Let me tell you a story to bring this to life. A young man wanted to learn to play the piano. He imagined himself on stage, playing beautifully, being admired. But after a few lessons, he grew frustrated. His fingers felt stiff. The music didn't flow. He said, "I should be better by now." His teacher smiled and said, "No, you should be exactly where you are. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to practice." That's when it hit him. The goal is not to play perfectly. The goal is to keep playing. The same is true when learning English. Don't aim to become fluent in 30 days. Don't judge yourself if you make mistakes. Just keep showing up. Keep practicing. That is the mindset of the practicing mind. Here's the truth. Anything worth learning, English, music, fitness, public speaking, takes deliberate, mindful repetition. And when we bring our full focus to each step, each word, each attempt, we grow. Not always visibly, but always surely. Now, imagine this. Every time you read an English article, even if you understand only 50%, you're growing. Every time you try to speak, even if you stammer or search for words, you're building fluency. Every new word you write, every grammar mistake you correct, it's all part of the practice. And that practice, done with presence and patience, leads to mastery. But most of us don't think this way. We rush. We compare ourselves to others. We say, "Look at her. She speaks better than me." But we forget. She has probably practiced for hundreds of hours, in silence, in failure, in frustration. You're seeing the result, not the process. Let me share something from my own journey. When I first tried to improve my English, I focused too much on vocabulary lists. I memorized 50 words a day and forgot most of them the next week. Then I realized something was missing. I was rushing. I wasn't absorbing. So I tried a new way. I slowed down. I picked one short article a day. I read it out loud slowly. I underlined phrases. I repeated sentences until they felt natural. I didn't care how long it took. I just practiced with full attention. And you know what? I improved faster. I spoke more clearly. I even started thinking in English. That is the practicing mind. It's not about doing more. It's about doing with more awareness. You see, we all have dreams, big ones. We want to speak English confidently in meetings. We want to express our ideas clearly. We want to connect with people from around the world. That's beautiful. But dreaming is not enough. We need a method, a mindset. And here's what the practicing mind teaches us. Focus on the process, not the result. Be present with what you're doing now, not what you haven't achieved yet. Do one thing at a time. Measure success by effort, not perfection. Let go of frustration and embrace practice as a way of life. So how can you apply this to English learning? Here's a simple, powerful plan. Read one small passage daily. Don't rush. Understand it. Read it aloud. Repeat. Speak 5 minutes a day. Talk to yourself if you have to. Describe your morning. Speak slowly. Practice clarity. Write a few sentences daily about your day, your plans, your thoughts. Don't worry about mistakes. You're practicing. Listen actively. Watch a short video or podcast. Try to write down what you hear. Rewind. Repeat. Absorb. Reflect weekly. Ask yourself, what did I practice this week? How did I grow? You don't need expensive tools or big promises. You just need one thing: the willingness to show up again and again with a practicing mind. Let me end with a thought. We often say, practice makes perfect. But the truth is, practice makes progress. Progress makes confidence. And confidence opens every door. So today, I invite you to stop chasing perfection. Stop saying, I'm not good at English. Instead, say, I'm practicing, I'm learning, I'm growing. And then, just keep going. Because in the end, success is not one big moment. It's the sum of thousands of small, quiet, patient steps. Thank you, and happy practicing. The journey to becoming rich. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. Let's talk about a topic that touches the heart of every dreamer, every hard worker, and every person who wants to create a better life. The journey of how to become rich. Now, when I say rich, I don't just mean having a bank account filled with money. I mean creating a life of abundance, freedom, and value, where money is a tool, not a trap. Becoming rich doesn't start with money. It starts with mindset. The way you think about wealth determines whether you attract it or push it away. If deep down you believe that wealth is only for the lucky, the corrupt, or the overly talented, then you've already built a wall between yourself and success. But if you believe, truly believe, that you can create wealth through discipline, value, and vision, then you've already taken your first step. Wealth doesn't fall from the sky. It grows from within. That's why the first and most important investment you'll ever make is in yourself. Read books that teach you how money works. Watch videos that push your thinking. Listen to people who've done what you want to do. Educate yourself relentlessly, because no one can steal knowledge from you, and knowledge is the foundation of wealth. But knowledge alone is not enough. You need to take action. You need to think beyond just earning a salary. Most wealthy people don't rely on just one source of income. They create multiple streams. Maybe it starts with a job, then they freelance on the side, then they invest that extra income. Maybe they start a small business, buy property, or write a book. The idea is to have money flowing in from different places, so you're never dependent on just one. Now here's something that surprises many. Rich people often live below their means, especially in the beginning. They aren't out there trying to impress the world with luxury before they've built real wealth. They track their spending, they save aggressively, and they invest consistently. The point is simple. It's not about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep and what you do with it. So where do you put that money you save? You invest it, but not blindly. You take calculated risks. You learn about the stock market, real estate, mutual funds, or starting a business. You understand the risks. You study the trends. And then you act, because nothing great is achieved without some risk. You can't become rich sitting on the sidelines, afraid to make a move. And yes, you'll make mistakes. But every successful person has failed at something. The difference is, They learned from it and kept moving forward. Now, here's another truth about becoming rich that most people overlook. The richest people aren't always the smartest, but they often have the right people around them. They surround themselves with mentors, visionaries, hard workers, and people who challenge their thinking. If you're constantly around people who complain, who make excuses, who fear growth, it will pull you down. But if you're around people who talk about ideas, growth, and solutions, it lifts you up. And above all, you must learn to think long-term. Real wealth isn't built in a week or even a year. It's built over time, with patience, focus, and consistency. It's built by waking up each day, making small but powerful decisions that compound over time, saving a little more, learning something new, improving your business, investing in your skills, and staying away from short-term temptations. So, what does it really take to become rich? It takes belief that you are capable. It takes discipline to manage money and stay focused. It takes courage to take smart risks. It takes hunger to keep learning and growing. And it takes patience to keep going even when progress is slow. The road to wealth isn't easy, but it's worth it. It's not for the lazy, not for the fearful, but for those willing to do what others won't, so one day they can live how others can't. Remember this: every rich person you admire once started where you are, uncertain, afraid, and full of questions. The only difference is, they started anyway. And so can you. Your journey to becoming rich doesn't begin tomorrow. It begins today, with the choices you make, the habits you build, and the belief you carry. Thank you, and may your path to wealth be bold, wise, and fulfilling. The Boy Who Believed in the Sun. In a quiet mountain village, where the sky stayed gray and snow covered the rooftops most of the year, lived a boy named Aryan. He was 13 years old, had curious eyes, and always asked questions. But the most important thing about Aryan was that he had never seen the sun. The village was hidden between high mountains, where the clouds sat low. The people there said, "We don't need the sun. We have snow and firewood. We can survive." But they didn't smile much. Their faces were pale, and their hearts felt tired. They worked, ate, and slept. That was life in the village. Aryan lived with his grandmother, Amma. She was kind and old, with silver hair and warm hands. Every night she told Aryan stories, some about brave kings, some about magic rivers, and some about the golden sun. "The sun is strong and beautiful," she would say. "It makes flowers grow and hearts feel light." Aryan would look out the window and whisper, "But where is it?" Amma would kiss his forehead and say, "It will come. One day, it will come. You just have to believe." One winter morning, when the snow had fallen thick on the ground, a traveler came to the village. He wore a yellow scarf and carried a bag full of books and small things that made children curious. He spoke to people in the square. "I have traveled across deserts and seas. I have seen the sun shine so bright that it makes the sky look like gold." The villagers shook their heads. "Not here. That's a story for other lands. We are not meant for sunlight. But Aryan's heart beat faster. He walked up to the traveler and asked, "Have you really seen the sun? What does it feel like?" The man smiled. "Yes, it feels like hope. It feels like a new beginning." Aryan's eyes widened. "I want to feel that too." The traveler leaned close and gave Aryan something small. "A seed. Plant this," he said, "and keep believing. The sun will come when it is ready." Aryan looked at the tiny brown seed in his palm. "But how can it grow here?" "Belief," the man said simply. "Belief is like sunlight for the heart." And with that, he left. Aryan ran home and showed the seed to his grandmother. Amma looked at it and nodded. "This is special. But remember, seeds need more than water. They need care, warmth, and yes, sunlight." Aryan made a small pot from old clay and filled it with dark earth from under the snow. He placed the seed carefully and set it on the window ledge, where light sometimes touched the glass for a few seconds each day. Every morning he would whisper to the seed, "I believe in you. I believe the sun will come. You can grow." The villagers laughed when they saw him. "Silly boy. Nothing grows here. Especially not with dreams." But Aryan didn't stop. He watered it every day, covered it when the wind howled, and spoke to it like a friend. Weeks passed. The sky stayed gray. The village continued its life, slow, cold, and silent. One morning, Aryan sat by the window, feeling a little weak. His hands were cold. His face had lost its color. "Maybe it's just a seed," he whispered. "Maybe there's no sun for me." Just then, something changed. A tiny ray of golden light broke through the clouds. It was soft and shy, but it was real. It landed on the window ledge. Aryan's heart jumped. Sunlight! He ran outside, shouting, "Look! Look! The sun!" People came out of their homes blinking. A few covered their eyes. Some even cried. It wasn't much, just a narrow beam of light. But in a village that had seen only snow and shadow, it was a miracle. Aryan ran back to the seed. And to his surprise, a small green shoot had broken through the soil. It was alive. After that day, something changed in the village. The sky didn't turn blue all at once, but every now and then, the clouds would part. The light would come for a few minutes, enough to warm faces and hearts. Aryan's plant grew. First a leaf, then two, then a stem, tall and proud. Amma smiled every time she saw it. "You see? The sun listens when we believe." People started talking about Aryan. Some still said it was luck. Others began placing small pots in their windows, hoping their seeds might grow too. Aryan became a helper. He gave out seeds, taught children how to care for them, and reminded everyone, "Talk to your plants. Tell them you believe." That's the most important thing. One spring, Something new happened. The clouds opened wide and the sun stayed for an entire hour. The snow melted fast. Grass pushed up through the white. Children ran in the fields. Women opened their windows. Old men sat outside to feel the warmth. Flowers bloomed. People painted their houses in colors: yellow, orange, blue. They cleaned their streets. They told stories again. And they smiled, really smiled. The village was not just alive. It was awakening. All around the central square, new plants grew. Some big, some small. Some from Aryan seeds, others planted by hopeful hands. They called them sun believers. And right in the middle of the square, they placed Aryan's first plant in a golden pot. A sign next to it read, "Belief is the beginning of all light." Years passed. Aryan grew taller and wiser. He became a teacher. His classroom had windows on every wall, so light could enter from any side. He didn't just teach reading and writing. He taught hope, care, and belief. Every new student received a seed on their first day. They had to care for it for 1 year. Many of them asked, "What if it doesn't grow?" Aryan would smile and say, "Then you grow instead." People came from other villages to see the place that once had no sun. They asked, "What happened here?" And everyone gave the same answer. One boy believed, when Aryan was old, with silver hair like his grandmother once had, he stood by the same window where his first seed had grown. He wrote in a book, "Sometimes the world is cold and gray. Sometimes people say nothing will change. But I have learned that even one warm thought is like sunlight. If you believe long enough, the sun will find you." That book is still in the school today. And the golden pot still holds a flower, glowing under the sun. Moral of the story: even in the darkest places, belief can bring the light. The sun does not come because we wait. It comes because we hope. In the peaceful village of Willowbrook, where golden fields danced with the wind and rivers sang to the sky, lived a girl named Emily Carter. At 15, Emily was curious, quiet, and full of dreams. While most children her age helped on farms or prepared to marry early, Emily loved to sit under the old oak tree and read every book she could find. She dreamed of the world beyond the village, a world full of books, cities, stories, and people who spoke fast English. She wanted to learn, to grow, to help her village one day. "Someday I'll be someone important," she whispered to the stars at night. Her little brother Tommy giggled beside her, not really understanding, but loving her big dreams. One morning, Mr. Brown, the school teacher, came running to the Carter home. "Emily!" he called. "There's a scholarship test being offered by the City Academy. If you win, you can study in the city for free." Emily's heart skipped a beat. The City Academy was one of the best schools in the region. Jack and Linda, her parents, looked at each other. "It's her chance," said Jack. "I'll do my best," said Emily with shining eyes. For the next 10 days, Emily studied with all her heart. She read books, solved problems, and practiced speaking English with Mr. Brown. On the test day, she traveled to the town alone, nervous but brave. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived. Emily had passed. She was going to the city. The city was loud, bright, and fast. Emily was not used to tall buildings or crowds. Her new school, City Academy, had students from all over the country. They wore stylish clothes, spoke fluent English, and seemed very confident. Emily felt like a small fish in a giant ocean. But she remembered what her father said. Bravery isn't about being strong. It's about not giving up. At school, Emily sat quietly at first. She didn't talk much, but her writing stood out. Her essays were thoughtful, her English improving every day. One day, a girl named Sarah Adams offered to help. "Want to go over the homework together?" she asked kindly. That day, Emily made her first city friend. Time passed. Emily grew stronger in her subjects. She started winning praise from teachers, but not everyone liked her success. Grace Hill, one of the smartest girls in school, felt jealous. "She's just a village girl," Grace once whispered. It hurt Emily, but she stayed focused. When the school announced a writing competition, Emily joined. The topic: a place that changed me. Emily wrote about Willowbrook, about her family, her teacher, and the dreams she carried from under the old oak tree. Her words moved everyone. She won first prize. Grace looked surprised but clapped politely. Emily was invited to speak at the annual school event. The hall was full. Emily stood on stage, nervous but ready. "My name is Emily Carter. I come from a small village named Willowbrook. I'm here because someone believed in me." She shared her story, her struggles, her fear, her journey. Her voice was calm but full of emotion. When she finished, the whole hall stood up in applause. A woman approached her backstage. "I'm Mrs. White, from Morning Star Publishing. Have you ever thought of writing a book?" Emily couldn't believe it. "A book? Me?" "Yes," Mrs. White smiled. "You have a powerful voice." After school, Emily began writing. She wrote every evening. Her book was titled Beyond the Fields, A Girl's Journey. It was published the following year. It sold hundreds of copies. Newspapers wrote about the village girl who became a star. But Emily didn't forget Willowbrook. She returned during summer holidays and spoke to the village kids. "Dream big," she told them. "No dream is too small." Emily used part of her book earnings to build the Willowbrook Reading Room, the village's first library. She brought books in English and simple stories for children. Tommy, now older, helped her run it. She also started a scholarship fund with Mr. Brown for other village students. Sarah and Grace, who had now become a good friend, came to visit her village and helped with workshops for rural children. Years passed. Emily went on to become a well-known author, educator, and speaker, but she always returned to Willowbrook. At every stage, she remembered the words of her father, the kindness of Mr. Brown, and the power of a simple dream. One evening, sitting again under the old oak tree, Emily looked at the sky. She whispered, "I made it, and I'll help others make it too." As Emily's name grew across the country, she started receiving letters, Hundreds of them, from students, teachers, and parents. Most were from small towns and villages like Willowbrook. Many said the same thing. I didn't know someone like me could dream big. Until I read your story, Emily knew she had a responsibility. She started speaking at schools, colleges, and even government events about rural education, simple English learning, and women's empowerment. One day, at a large education conference, she met Dr. Peter Collins, a university dean. Would you like to design a program for rural learners? He asked. Emily thought for a moment and said, yes, but it must be in simple English, and it must include stories. That's how her program, Stories of Strength, was born. A mobile reading initiative with books in easy language for kids across remote areas. Just when everything was going well, tragedy struck. Mr. Brown, her old school teacher, fell seriously ill. Emily rushed to Willowbrook. The doctor said he had very little time left. Sitting by his bedside, Mr. Brown said, Emily, I always knew you would change lives. Promise me you'll keep teaching, not just writing. Emily nodded, holding his hand tightly. A week later, he passed away. The whole village mourned. Emily knew what she had to do next. In his memory, she started the Brown Academy for Rural Learning, a small, open-air school with free education and evening classes for adults. One afternoon, as Emily worked on lesson plans, she received a surprise visit. It was Grace Hill, now a journalist for an education magazine. I've come to write about your school, Grace said, then paused, and also to say I'm sorry. Emily smiled. That was years ago, Grace. I was jealous, Grace said, but you inspired me too. That's why I now write about education. They hugged, and just like that, an old rivalry turned into friendship. The article Grace wrote, titled From Farmer's Daughter to National Voice, went viral. Emily's story began to appear in textbooks. Schools invited her to speak on video calls. Her library in Willowbrook added a second floor with computers and internet access. But Emily never forgot her simple promise: to teach, to write, and to help others dream. She still walked with the same calm energy, wore simple cotton clothes, and carried a leather notebook full of ideas and story outlines. One evening, a young girl from the village named Lucy Reed came to her. Auntie Emily, do you think someone like me can go to the city too? Emily knelt and smiled. I don't think, Lucy. I know. Lucy Reed was only 11 when she joined the Willowbrook Reading Room. She was quiet, curious, and very bright. Emily noticed how Lucy finished every book in the children's section in just a few weeks. Can I read your book next, Miss Emily? She asked one day. Emily smiled. Only if you promise to write your own someday. Lucy grinned and nodded. Emily began mentoring her, teaching her how to write stories, speak in English, and ask questions without fear. At 13, Lucy won the National Young Writers Award. At 14, she was offered a place in the City Academy, just like Emily had been years ago. You lit the path, Lucy said before leaving for the city. Now I'll carry the torch. One morning, Emily received a letter with the official seal of the government. She was being invited to join the National Education Reform Council, a group of educators, writers, and policymakers to improve learning in rural India. She was stunned. Me? A village girl? Yes, said Dr. Collins when he called. You understand what children need more than any official ever could. At the council meetings in the capital, Emily spoke clearly and simply. "We must focus on storytelling," she said. "On learning through love, not fear." Her voice was calm, but it shook rooms filled with powerful people. Years passed. Emily's books were now translated into 10 languages. Her stories of strength, mobile library, reached 300 villages. Brown Academy had trained over 1,000 rural students. One morning, Sarah Adams, now a professor, called her. "Emily, are you sitting?" "Yes." "Why?" "You've been nominated for the Global Literacy Award." Emily laughed. "That can't be real." "It is." In London, she stood on an international stage, alongside Nobel Prize winners and scientists. When she accepted the award, she said, "I'm not here because I'm the best writer. I'm here because someone once handed me a book and said, 'You can.' So today, I say the same to the next girl from a little village. You can." After all the ceremonies and travels, Emily returned to Willowbrook. The first thing she did was walk to the old oak tree. It was still there, tall, strong, gentle. She sat under it, just like she did as a teenager, and looked up at the sky. She thought of her father and mother, now old but proud. She thought of Mr. Brown. She thought of little Lucy, now in college. And she thought of the dreams still waiting to be born. A little boy named Sam came running up to her. "Miss Emily, can you tell me a story?" She opened her notebook, smiled, and said, "Yes. This one is about a dream. A small dream that became big." Years later, people still spoke of Emily Carter. In villages, children read her books in class. In cities, students studied her writings in universities. In Willowbrook, a statue stood near the reading room. A simple bronze figure of a young girl with a book in hand, looking up at the sky. On its base were just 4 words, "You can dream too." And somewhere, under the same oak tree, stories were still being told, because once upon a time, a girl had dared to hope. How to introduce yourself with confidence. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I'm going to talk about something very simple, yet very powerful. How to introduce yourself with confidence. Think about this. How often do we introduce ourselves? Whether it's a classroom, a meeting, a new job, or even a casual group of friends. Introductions are everywhere. But for many of us, especially if English is not our first language, introducing ourselves can be stressful. Our hands sweat, our voice shakes, and our mind goes blank. But what if I told you introducing yourself with confidence is a skill? And like any other skill, you can learn it, practice it, and master it. Today, I will guide you step by step. We will learn why it's important, what makes a good self-introduction, how to speak clearly and confidently, and how to practice. Let's get started. Why is a confident introduction important? Let's begin with the why. Why should we care about making a confident introduction? First impressions matter. People form an opinion about you in the first 10 seconds. Your words, your tone, your posture. They all speak before you even finish your first sentence. Opens doors. Whether it's for a job, friendship, opportunity, or relationship. A confident introduction helps you connect instantly. Shows your self-worth. When you introduce yourself with confidence, you're telling the world, "I value myself, and you should too." So now that we know why it matters, let's see what a good introduction looks like. The basic structure of a self-introduction. A confident self-introduction is not about saying too much. It's about saying the right things, in the right way. Here is a basic structure. Greeting, hello, or good morning. Keep it friendly. Your name. Clearly say your full name. Speak slowly. Example, my name is Alex Parker. Where you're from. Mention your city or state or country. I am from Langley, UK. What you do. Talk about your profession, your studies, or your current role. I work as a digital content manager. Or, I am a student currently studying English literature. Your interests or strengths. Share something about your hobbies or qualities. I enjoy public speaking, storytelling, and helping others learn English. Why you are here. Purpose. If it's a class or event, explain why you're attending. I'm here to improve my communication skills and meet new people. Tips to speak with confidence. Now that we know what to say, let's talk about how to say it. Here are my best tips. Speak slowly. Most people rush because they're nervous. Slow down. Breathe. Smile. A smile makes you look friendly and confident. It also relaxes you. Make eye contact if you're speaking to people in a room or on a video call. Look at them. Don't stare, just be natural. Use positive body language. Stand straight. Don't cross your arms. Use your hands when needed. Practice. Practice. Practice, practice in front of a mirror. Record yourself. Practice with friends. Confidence comes from preparation. Real-life situations and examples. Let's look at some real-life examples of confident introductions. Job interview. Good morning. My name is Jessica Blake. I am a marketing graduate with a passion for digital content. I have done internships in 2 companies and enjoy working on social media strategies. I'm excited to be here and learn more about your company. New class. Hi everyone. I'm Rahul from Mumbai. I'm pursuing my master's in business administration. I love playing cricket and reading books. I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you. Public speaking event. Hello, my name is Emma. I'm a language trainer and storyteller. I believe in the power of words and the joy of learning. Today, I'll be sharing tips on improving communication through simple storytelling. You see, these are not long speeches, just clear, friendly, and to the point. Common mistakes to avoid. Let's also learn from what not to do. Don't speak too fast. Don't use too many filler words like like. Don't lie or exaggerate. Don't apologize for your English. Everyone makes mistakes. Don't look down or hide your hands in your pockets. You are enough. Speak proudly. Confidence comes from within. Here's something important. Confidence is not about being perfect. It's about being comfortable with who you are. You don't need a perfect accent. You don't need big words. You just need belief. Every time you introduce yourself, remember this. You are unique. Your story matters. And you deserve to be heard. A simple practice exercise. Let's do a little practice right now. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you're entering a room full of new people. It's your turn to speak. Now repeat after me. Hello everyone, my name is. Say your name. I'm from. Say your city name. I work as a. Say your job role. Or I study. Say your subject. I love. Say your hobby. I'm excited to be here. Say it once more, with a smile. Daily practice routine. Here's a daily practice routine to become better. Mirror practice. 5 minutes. Stand in front of a mirror and introduce yourself daily. Voice recording. 5 minutes. Record your voice and listen. Improve where needed. English listening. 10 minutes. Listen to English podcasts or YouTube channels. Speak to others. 5 minutes. Practice small talk with friends, family, or colleagues. Within 15 days, you'll feel a big change. Conclusion. Believe in yourself. Let me end with this. Introducing yourself with confidence is not about being loud. It's about being clear, calm, and connected to your words. When you speak from the heart, people listen. When you believe in yourself, others believe in you too. So, next time someone says, "Tell me about yourself," you don't panic. You smile, stand tall, and say, "Hi, say your name. I'm proud of who I am, and I'm excited to connect with you." Thank you so much for listening. I wish you confidence, clarity, and courage every time you speak. Daily routine vocabulary and sentences. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Guru, your friendly space to learn and speak English with confidence. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about something very simple, yet very powerful. Daily routine vocabulary and sentences. Now, why is this important? Because our daily life is filled with repeated actions. Waking up, getting ready, eating, working, and so on. If you can talk about these simple things fluently, it builds your confidence, helps you in conversations, and makes you feel more natural while speaking English. So today, I will teach you the vocabulary you need, the sentences you should use, and we'll also do some practice together. Make sure to repeat after me and speak along with me like a real classroom. Ready? Let's begin. Let's start with the morning routine. When you start your day, what do you do? The first action is wake up. I wake up at 6 o'clock. Then, get up. This means you get out of bed. I get up at 6:15. Waking up is opening your eyes. Getting up is leaving the bed. Next, brush my teeth. I brush my teeth every morning. Take a shower or have a bath. I take a shower after brushing my teeth. Get dressed. I get dressed for work. You can also say, change clothes. I change into my uniform. Then comes breakfast. Have breakfast. I usually have toast and tea for breakfast. Drink tea, coffee, juice. I drink a glass of warm water first. Read the newspaper or check my phone. I read the newspaper while having breakfast. Pack my bag. Lunch. I pack my office bag before I leave. Leave home. I leave home at 8 o'clock. Now we move into the daytime routine. Go to work. School. I go to work by train. Commute means to travel to work or school. I commute for 1 hour every day. At work or school, we do many things. Attend meetings, classes. I attend my English class at 10 a.m. Check emails, read messages. I check my emails first thing at work. Talk to colleagues, friends. I talk to my teammates about today's tasks. Write reports. Do assignments. I write reports and complete my tasks. Have lunch. I have lunch at around 1 p.m. After lunch, some people take a short break. Take a nap or rest for a while. I take a 15-minute nap if I'm home. In the afternoon, go shopping or run errands. I sometimes go to the market to buy groceries. Visit friends or family. I visit my grandmother on weekends. Now let's look at the evening routine. Return home. I return home by 6 p.m. Relax, take rest. I relax for some time after coming home. Watch TV, YouTube, Netflix. I watch English videos to improve my language. Go for a walk. Exercise. I go for a walk in the park. Now comes dinner time. Have dinner. I usually have dinner with my family. Talk to family. Spend time with family. We sit together and talk about our day. Wash the dishes. Clean the kitchen. I help my mom clean up after dinner. Read a book. Scroll social media. I read a few pages before sleeping. Go to bed. I go to bed around 10:30 p.m. Fall asleep. Sleep. I fall asleep quickly because I'm tired. Now, let's use all of this in a complete daily routine paragraph. I wake up at 6 a.m. I get up, brush my teeth, and take a shower. After getting dressed, I have breakfast. I leave home at 8 o'clock and go to work. At work, I check my emails, attend meetings, and have lunch at 1 p.m. I return home by 6 p.m., relax, and watch TV. After dinner, I talk with my family and go to bed at 10:30 p.m. Now it's your turn. Let's do a little speaking practice. I'll ask you some questions. You answer aloud in full sentences. What time do you wake up? You say, I wake up at 7 a.m. What do you do after breakfast? I go to school. I start my work. What time do you return home? I return home at 6 p.m. What do you do in the evening? I watch TV and have dinner. You're doing great. Remember, don't worry about grammar too much at first. Just try to speak clearly and slowly. Repeat these phrases daily, and soon you'll be able to talk about your day in fluent English. Before we end, here are a few final tips. Practice daily. Speak about your day in English for 2 to 3 minutes every night. Record yourself. Listen to your voice and correct your pronunciation. Use a mirror. Practice speaking in front of a mirror to build confidence. Learn 5 new words every day and use them in your sentences. Speak with a friend or partner. Practice makes progress. That's it for today's lesson on daily routine vocabulary and sentences. If you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to English Guru for more practical and powerful English lessons like this. Comment below with your daily routine in English. I will check and reply. Thank you for learning with me. See you in the next video. Keep learning, keep speaking, keep growing. A day at the market. Maria lived in a quiet town in southern Spain, where mornings were peaceful and the air smelled of fresh flowers and warm bread. Every Saturday, she and her grandmother, Abuela Rosa, followed a special tradition. They went to the local market. It wasn't just about buying groceries. For them, it was a meaningful ritual filled with joy, laughter, and connection. On a bright Saturday morning, the sunlight poured gently through the windows as Maria finished her breakfast. A cup of warm milk and 2 slices of toast with golden honey. She loved how the honey melted into the toast and made it sticky sweet. She quickly tied her dark brown hair into a ponytail and grabbed her reusable cloth bag from the hook by the door. Ready, Abuela? Maria called from the kitchen. Rosa appeared from the hallway wearing her favorite knitted shawl and a soft smile. I've been ready since 8, she teased. The oranges are waiting for us. They both laughed. Rosa always made a fuss over the oranges sold by Mr. Carlos, her favorite vendor. As they stepped out, the warm air touched their cheeks. The streets were paved with cobblestones, and small white houses with bright flowers on the windowsills lined the road. Some neighbors waved and greeted them as they passed. Hola, Señora Rosa. Going to the market. called Mr. Emilio, the baker, from across the street. As always, Rosa replied cheerfully. Save us some empanadas. He gave them a thumbs up and returned to kneading dough behind his stall. When they reached the town square, it was already buzzing with activity. Striped canopies covered colorful market stalls. The scent of fresh herbs, ripe fruits, and baked goods filled the air. Musicians played soft guitar tunes near the central fountain, where children ran around laughing and splashing. Their first stop was the fruit stall, where Mr. Carlos, a cheerful man in a large straw hat, greeted them warmly. Good morning, my favorite ladies, he said. Today, I have the sweetest oranges in all of Spain. Rosa laughed and replied, You say that every week. But every week I'm right, no? He grinned. Maria picked up an orange and held it to her nose. This does smell amazing. They bought oranges, bananas, apples, and strawberries. Mr. Carlos handed Maria an extra apple with a wink. For your school bag. Gracias, Señor Carlos. She smiled. Next, they moved on to the bakery stall run by Carmen and her sister. The air smelled of cinnamon and warm dough. Fresh bread, soft rolls, and almond pastries. Carmen called out, Can we get a croissant today, Abuela? Maria asked hopefully. Rosa nodded. And a small olive loaf for me. Carmen wrapped up their selections. Will you be coming to the music festival tonight? We might, Rosa replied. You should. There will be flamenco dancers and live guitar, Carmen said with excitement. Maria's eyes lit up. She adored music and dancing. At the next stall, Señora Pilar stood behind wooden trays of cheese and baskets of eggs. Hello, niñas. She greeted them with a warm smile. 2 dozen eggs and half a kilo of goat cheese, please, Rosa said. Maria noticed a chicken clucking nearby. Are the eggs from her? She asked. From her and her sisters, Pilar chuckled. As Pilar packed their items, they chatted about her farm and the new baby goat she had just welcomed. By now, the market was full. Tourists clicked pictures of the stalls, and locals haggled over prices. Maria and Rosa stopped by a spice stall, picking up packets of paprika and oregano. Then, they made their way to the flower stall. Bright marigolds, roses, lilies, and sunflowers stood in water buckets. These sunflowers are smiling at you, Abuela, Maria said, pointing. Rosa smiled and picked a bunch to buy. Just then, a man began playing the guitar near the fountain. His song was gentle and emotional. People tossed coins into his open case. Maria closed her eyes to enjoy the melody. After all their shopping, they found their favorite bench under a leafy tree by the fountain. Rosa pulled out 2 sandwiches from her bag, and Maria bought fresh orange juice from a nearby juice cart. I like this part the most, Maria said, taking a bite. Rosa nodded. You see life here, not just things to buy, but people to know. They watched as a little girl passed by with a red balloon. A man in a suit politely argued with a vendor about the price of olives. An elderly woman showed her granddaughter how to choose the ripest tomatoes. This market has stories, Maria said thoughtfully. Just as they stood to leave, they heard a voice. Excuse me, did you drop this? A young man approached, holding a red scarf. Rosa touched her neck. Oh, that's mine. Thank you, young man, she said with a smile. He smiled back and walked away. Who was that? Maria asked. I've never seen him before, Rosa replied. But he had nice manners. Maybe he'll be at the festival tonight, Maria said. Maybe. Rosa agreed with a mysterious smile. That evening, Maria sat in her room, writing in her journal. Today, I learned that a market is more than just a place to shop. It's a place to connect, to feel alive, and to enjoy the simple, beautiful moments of life. At the bottom of the page, she drew a little orange and a sunflower, side by side. Later that night, as the town square transformed into a glowing festival ground filled with music and dancing, Maria and Rosa joined the crowd. Strings of lights twinkled overhead, and the sound of clapping and flamenco guitars filled the air. Maria swayed to the rhythm, her eyes scanning the crowd. Near the fountain, she spotted the young man from earlier, now dressed in a white shirt and black trousers, tapping along to the beat. He noticed her too, and waved. Rosa gave Maria a gentle nudge. "Go say hello," she whispered. With a bashful smile, Maria walked over. "I'm Maria," she said. "Daniel," he replied. "I'm visiting my cousins here for the summer. First time at this festival." They talked, laughed, and shared stories under the glowing lights. As the music swelled, they danced together, awkwardly, at first, then more freely, surrounded by the joyous energy of the crowd. When the night ended, Maria and Rosa walked home under the stars. Maria held her grandmother's hand and whispered, "Thank you for today." Rosa smiled. Every market day brings a new story, and I think this one will be one of your favorites. Maria nodded, already thinking about how she would write it, down in her journal the next morning, with a little red scarf drawn right next to the orange and sunflower.
How I learned English in 6 months. My name is Lena. I am from a small town in Colombia. I lived with my mother and younger brother in a yellow house with red flowers on the windows. My town was quiet, with green hills, small shops, and friendly people. Life was simple and peaceful, but I had a dream. I wanted to travel. I wanted to speak English so I could talk to people from other countries, get a better job, and maybe study abroad one day. My friend Camila said, "Lena, there is a free English course online. It is for beginners." My heart beat fast. "Really? Is it good?" "It's very good," she said. "You can study at home." That night I could not sleep. I kept thinking, can I really learn English? I am 22 years old. Maybe it's too late, but deep inside I wanted to try. I signed up for the online course the next morning. The website was simple. It had short videos, easy grammar lessons, and small quizzes. The first lesson was about greetings. "Hello. My name is Lena. Nice to meet you." I repeated the words again and again. I felt strange speaking English alone in my room. But I also felt excited. The next day, I learned, "Where are you from?" "I am from Colombia." I said the sentences out loud. Then I wrote them in my notebook. I made flashcards with new words, like hello, name, country, nice, meet. I studied for 1 hour each morning before work. My brother teased me sometimes. "Why are you talking to yourself?" But I didn't stop. I had a goal. After 2 weeks, I made a plan. Morning, 1 hour. Watch 1 video lesson and repeat the words out loud. Evening, 30 minutes. Review vocabulary with flashcards. Weekend. Write 1 short paragraph in English. I stuck to this plan every day. On Sundays, I read simple English stories for beginners. I also downloaded a podcast called Easy English for Everyone. At first, I understood only a few words, but I listened every day on the bus. I trained my ears to the sound of English. In the 3rd month, I joined a language app. I met a girl from India. Her name was Annika. She was learning Spanish, and I was learning English. We started chatting every day. "Hi, Lena. How are you today?" "I'm good, thank you." How are you? We talked about food, weather, family, and hobbies. Sometimes we made mistakes, but we laughed and helped each other. One day she said, "Lena, your English is better now. You write very clearly." I smiled. "Thanks to you." Writing and reading were easier now, but speaking was still hard. I was shy, so I made a new rule. Talk in English to myself every day. When I made coffee, "This is my coffee. It is hot. I like it." When I walk to the shop, "I am going to buy rice. I have money in my bag." At night, I looked in the mirror and spoke. "My name is Lena. I want to speak English fluently." I recorded my voice and listened. At first, I didn't like my accent. I reminded myself, it's okay. I am learning. In the 4th month, I got sick. I had a fever and a sore throat. I missed 2 days of work and didn't study English for a week. I felt sad and tired. One evening, I opened my notebook. It had been 5 days since I studied. I looked at my old notes and whispered, "I don't want to quit." So I started again. I watched a video on simple past tense. The teacher said, "I walked to the store." She cooked dinner. They studied English. I repeated the sentences, even though my voice was weak. I told myself, it's okay to slow down. But don't stop. That week, I learned a new word. Perseverance. It means to keep going, even when things are hard. In month 5, something exciting happened. I went to the city to visit my cousin Sophia. She works in a hotel. That day, the hotel was busy with tourists. Sophia said, "Lena, do you want to help me at the front desk for 1 hour?" Me? But I don't work here. Just talk to people. Be friendly. A couple from Canada walked in. Sophia introduced me. "This is my cousin Lena. She speaks English." I froze. The woman smiled. "Hello, Lena. Nice to meet you." I took a deep breath. "Nice to meet you too. Welcome to Bogota." They asked simple questions. "Where is the cafe? What time is breakfast?" I answered slowly, carefully, but with a big smile. After they left, Sophia gave me a high five. "You did it." I felt proud. I had just used my English in the real world. After that day, I felt different, more confident. I started writing longer texts and English emails, small stories, even journal entries. I also joined a weekly online speaking club. Every Saturday, 6 people from different countries met on Zoom to talk in English. At first, I was nervous, but the host said, "This is a safe space. Mistakes are welcome." One Saturday, the topic was hobbies. I spoke for 3 minutes about baking cakes with my mother. A man from Japan said, "Your English is clear. I understood everything." That made my day. At my job in the supermarket, I sometimes met English-speaking tourists. Before, I only smiled and pointed. Now I said things like, "Would you like a bag? Do you need help finding something?" One woman said, "Your English is very good." I blushed and said, "Thank you. I am learning." I also made English labels for some items in the store: bread, milk, cheese, rice. My manager liked the idea. "We get more foreign visitors now," he said. "Your English is useful." That made me feel important. I wasn't just learning for myself. I was helping others too. After 6 months, I took an online English test to check my progress. It had reading, listening, writing, and speaking parts. It was not easy. Some questions were hard. But I did my best. 2 days later, I got my results. Intermediate level. B1. Jumped with joy. 6 months ago, I only knew hello and goodbye. Now I could write essays, understand podcasts, and talk to people from around the world. I sat down to write my story. The title was How I Learned English in 6 Months. I thought about all the small steps. Watching videos, writing notes, talking to myself, making mistakes, practicing every day. I didn't go to a big school. I didn't spend money, but I had motivation, discipline, and a dream. Now, I still study English. I read books, watch movies, and talk to my friend Annika every week. My next goal is to reach advanced level C1 and apply for a job with an international company. If you want to learn English, here's my advice. Start small. Don't worry if you know only a few words. Study every day. Even 15 minutes helps. Listen and speak. Don't be shy. Write things down. It helps you remember. Find a friend. Practice together. Make mistakes. It's how we grow. Don't give up. Even when it's hard. If I can do it, you can too. Good luck on your English journey. Lena.
The Mysterious Letter. It was a peaceful afternoon in the small town of Willowbrook. Birds chirped in the trees, children played in the park, and Emma sat by her window reading her favorite book. She loved mystery stories, but little did she know that she was about to live one herself. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Emma, curious, put her book down and walked to the door. When she opened it, there was no one there. She looked left and right, but the street was empty. Then, her eyes fell on a small brown envelope lying on the ground. It had her name written in neat handwriting, but there was no return address. She picked up the envelope and turned it over in her hands. Who could have sent this? Her heart beat faster as she carefully opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a message written in black ink. Meet me at the old oak tree at midnight. Come alone. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Who would send such a note? Was this a joke? A prank? Or something more? She had so many questions, but only one way to find answers. Emma sat at her desk, staring at the note. She thought about calling her best friend Jake, but something inside her told her this was a journey she had to take alone. Midnight seemed far away, yet her mind raced with possibilities. As the evening went by, she tried to distract herself with her book, but she kept glancing at the clock. 9 p.m. 10 p.m. 11:30 p.m. Finally, she grabbed her jacket and a flashlight. She took a deep breath and stepped outside. The cold night air sent shivers down her spine, but she was determined. The old oak tree stood at the edge of town, near an abandoned barn. Its thick branches stretched toward the sky, casting eerie shadows in the moonlight. As Emma approached, her footsteps crunched on the dry leaves. She looked around. The wind rustled the trees, and an owl hooted in the distance. But there was no one there. Just as she was about to leave, she heard a whisper. Emma! Her heart pounded. Who's there? She called. From behind the tree, a figure stepped forward. It was a boy about her age, with dark hair and a serious expression. My name is Lucas, he said. I need your help. Emma hesitated. How do you know my name? She asked. Lucas sighed. It's a long story. But first, do you believe in mysteries? Emma nodded slowly. I love mysteries. Then you're the right person for this, Lucas said. He pulled something from his pocket. A small, golden key. This key opens something important. He continued. But I don't know what. My grandfather left it for me before he disappeared. And I think you can help me figure it out. Emma's eyes widened. Disappeared? What do you mean? Lucas looked down. One day, he just vanished. No one knows where he went. But before he left, he told me to find the right person to help me. And that person is you. Emma felt a mix of fear and excitement. Where do we start? Lucas handed her a piece of paper. This was in my grandfather's desk. I think it's a clue. Emma unfolded it. The note read, "The past holds the answers. Seek the house with the blue door." Emma and Lucas exchanged a look. They both knew exactly where to go next. The house with the blue door stood at the end of an old cobblestone street. It looked abandoned, its paint peeling, and the windows covered in dust. Emma and Lucas approached cautiously. Lucas hesitated before knocking on the door. No answer. He tried again. Still silence. Maybe we should just go in? Emma suggested. Lucas pushed the door gently, and to their surprise, it creaked open. Inside, the air smelled of old books and wood. The house was dimly lit by the moonlight filtering through the broken curtains. Furniture was covered in dust and cobwebs. "Look at this," Emma whispered, pointing to a large portrait on the wall. It was a picture of an old man, his eyes staring intensely. "That's my grandfather," Lucas said softly. Suddenly, a noise came from upstairs. Emma and Lucas exchanged nervous glances. "Did you hear that?" Emma whispered. Lucas nodded. "We should check it out." Slowly, they climbed the creaky stairs. At the end of the hallway, a faint light flickered under a closed door. Lucas reached for the handle and turned it. The door swung open. Inside was a study filled with books, maps, and old papers. A single candle burned on the desk. In the middle of the room, an old woman sat in a rocking chair, staring at them. "I've been expecting you," she said in a raspy voice. Emma and Lucas froze. The woman's piercing eyes studied them, as if searching their souls. "Who are you?" Lucas finally asked. The woman sighed and gestured to the chairs in front of her. "Sit down. We have much to discuss." Emma hesitated but took a seat. Lucas followed, gripping the golden key tightly. "Your grandfather was a wise man," the woman began, "but his discoveries put him in great danger. He left clues so that only the right people could find the truth." Emma leaned forward. "What truth?" The woman pointed at a dusty old chest in the corner. "The key you hold will open that chest. But be warned, once you unlock it, there is no turning back." Lucas swallowed hard. Slowly, he stood up and approached the chest. His hands trembled as he inserted the key into the lock. With a soft click, the chest creaked open. Inside, they found a stack of old letters, a worn-out leather journal, and a small wooden box. Lucas picked up the journal and opened it to the first page. His grandfather's handwriting filled the pages. "To whoever finds this, you must follow the map. Time is running out." Lucas turned the pages frantically until he found a folded piece of paper tucked between them. He carefully unfolded it and revealed an old map with red ink marking a location deep in the woods outside Willowbrook. "This must be where he went," Lucas exclaimed. The woman nodded. "But beware. Others seek what your grandfather found. They will do anything to stop you." Emma and Lucas exchanged nervous glances. There was no choice now. They had to follow the map. The next morning, they packed supplies and set off towards the woods. The path was overgrown, and every snapping twig made Emma's heart race. The deeper they walked, the darker the forest became. "Are we sure about this?" Emma whispered. Lucas glanced at the map. "We're close. Just a little farther." Suddenly, a shadow moved between the trees. A rustling sound came from behind them. "Did you hear that?" Emma asked, gripping Lucas's arm. Before he could answer, a deep voice growled from the darkness. You shouldn't have come here. Emma and Lucas turned to see a hooded figure stepping out from the shadows. His face was hidden, but his voice carried a menacing tone. Give me the map. Now. Lucas instinctively tucked the map into his jacket. Who are you? He demanded. The figure took a step closer. That doesn't matter. Hand it over, and no one gets hurt. Emma grabbed Lucas's hand. Run, she shouted. They dashed through the dense forest, branches whipping against their faces. The figure pursued them, his footsteps heavy and determined. The map was their only clue to Lucas's grandfather's secret, and they weren't about to give it up. As they ran, Emma spotted a narrow opening in a rock formation ahead. In here, she whispered. They squeezed inside, pressing themselves against the damp stone walls. Outside, the footsteps stopped. The hooded man cursed under his breath. You can't hide forever. Minutes passed before his footsteps faded into the distance. Emma exhaled in relief. That was close. Lucas pulled out the map. Look at this, he said, pointing to a marking that resembled a cave. We're standing right where the map leads. Emma turned on her flashlight and aimed it deeper into the cave. The walls were covered in strange symbols. In the center of the cave, a stone pedestal held a small wooden box, identical to the one in the chest. Lucas hesitated before lifting the box. He opened it carefully and found a key wrapped in an old cloth. A note rested beneath it, written in his grandfather's handwriting. If you've found this, then you are ready. The final key unlocks what I have hidden beneath Willowbrook Library. Emma's eyes widened. The library. That's in the center of town. Lucas clenched the key. We need to get there before that man does. Emma and Lucas arrived at Willowbrook Library just before dawn. The towering building was empty at this hour, its grand wooden doors locked. Lucas held up the key. There has to be a hidden entrance. My grandfather wouldn't have left this clue. Otherwise, they circled the building until Emma spotted something. Look! That basement window is slightly open. Carefully, they squeezed through and landed in a dusty storage room filled with old books and forgotten artifacts. Lucas pulled out the map and studied it under the dim emergency light. The markings show a hidden passage behind the main bookshelf. Emma brushed aside cobwebs as they navigated through the quiet corridors. Finally, they found the grand bookshelf at the far end of the library. Lucas pushed against it, but nothing happened. There has to be a mechanism, he muttered. Emma's eyes landed on a carved owl figure in the wood. She pressed it, and with a low rumble, the bookshelf slid aside, revealing a stone staircase leading down into darkness. Descending carefully, they reached an underground chamber lit by faint torchlight. In the center stood an ornate wooden chest, its lock an exact match for the key Lucas held. Taking a deep breath, Lucas inserted the key and turned it. The lock clicked open. Inside, they found a bundle of aged papers, a leather-bound journal, and an object wrapped in cloth. Lucas unwrapped it, revealing a golden amulet engraved with strange symbols. What is this? Emma picked up the journal and read aloud. This amulet is the key to a lost artifact hidden centuries ago. Protect it at all costs. There are those who would do anything to possess its power. Before they could process the discovery, a voice echoed from the entrance of the chamber. I warned you not to interfere. The hooded figure from the forest stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with intent. Lucas clutched the amulet as Emma stepped in front of him. Who are you? Why do you want this? The man pulled back his hood, revealing a scarred face. Your grandfather stole what rightfully belonged to us. That amulet is more powerful than you realize. Hand it over. Lucas shook his head. My grandfather wanted to protect it. And so will I. The man lunged at them, but Emma grabbed a nearby book and hurled it at him, giving Lucas time to sprint toward the exit. Chasing them up the stone steps, the man reached out, nearly grabbing Lucas's arm, until Emma kicked over a bookshelf, sending it crashing down, blocking his path. Breathing heavily, they emerged into the morning light. The town was waking up, unaware of the danger lurking below. Later that day, Lucas read more of the journal. This amulet is part of something bigger, and my grandfather's journey isn't over. Emma smiled. Then let's make sure his story continues. With the amulet safely in their possession, they knew their adventure was only just beginning. But as they walked away from the library, Lucas felt a strange warmth radiating from the amulet. Emma noticed it too. "Did you feel that?" she asked. Lucas nodded. "I think it's trying to tell us something." As they held the amulet up to the morning sunlight, faint glowing symbols appeared on its surface. The markings seemed to shift and rearrange, forming what looked like another clue. Emma gasped. "It's a map!" But to where? Lucas took a deep breath. "I guess there's only one way to find out." Their journey was far from over. It had only just begun.
Story 2. The Baker's Map and the Hidden Village. Thomas loved the smell of baking bread. Every morning the warm, sweet scent filled his small bakery. He lived in a quiet village, nestled at the edge of a large old forest. His days were simple. He mixed flour, water, and yeast. He shaped dough into loaves. He baked them in his big stone oven. Thomas was a good baker. His bread was soft and delicious. People in the village loved it, but sometimes Thomas felt a little bored. His life was the same day after day. He wished for something different, something exciting. One afternoon, while cleaning the attic above his bakery, he found an old wooden chest. It was dusty and covered in cobwebs. He opened it carefully. Inside, he found old tools, faded letters, and a strange rolled-up map. The map was made of thick, yellowed paper. It had lines and symbols that Thomas didn't understand. He unrolled it and looked closely. It showed a path through the forest, leading to a place marked with a strange symbol, a waterfall with a hidden entrance behind it. Thomas was curious. He had never seen a map like this before. He took the map downstairs and showed it to Ilara, the oldest woman in the village. Ilara lived in a small cottage near the forest. She knew many stories and secrets. Ilara looked at the map. Her eyes widened. "This is a very old map," she said. "It shows the way to the hidden village. It is a place spoken of in old stories, a place deep within the forest, where people live in harmony with nature." Thomas's heart beat faster. A hidden village. It sounded like a dream. "Do you think it's real?" he asked. "Yes, Thomas," Ilara said. "I believe it is. But the forest is a dangerous place. The path is long and difficult." Thomas thought about it. He was a baker, not an adventurer, but the map had awakened something in him. He wanted to see the hidden village. He wanted to know what was beyond the familiar streets of his village. "I want to go," he said. "I want to find the hidden village." Ilara smiled. "Then you must prepare well," she said. "The forest is full of surprises. You will need courage and you will need to be kind." Thomas went home and packed his bag. He took bread, cheese, and a warm blanket. He also took a small notebook and a pencil. He wanted to write down everything he saw. The next morning, Thomas stood at the edge of the forest. The trees were tall and dark. The air was cool and damp. He took a deep breath and stepped into the shadows. His adventure had begun. The forest was a world of green shadows and whispering leaves. Thomas followed the map, his heart pounding a little faster with each step. The path was barely visible, sometimes just a faint trail of broken twigs and flattened grass. He had to be careful not to lose his way. After walking for hours, the sky began to darken. A sudden gust of wind shook the trees, and rain started to fall. It was a heavy, cold rain. Thomas pulled his blanket over his head, but he was soon soaked. The forest became even darker, and the path disappeared under the falling leaves. He stumbled, his feet slipping on the wet ground. He felt lost and afraid. Maybe I should turn back, he thought. But then he remembered Ilara's words, "You will need courage." He took a deep breath and kept walking. Suddenly he saw a light through the trees. It was a small, flickering light, like a candle. He followed it, hoping to find shelter. The light led him to a small wooden hut. Smoke curled from the chimney. He knocked on the door. It opened, and there stood Ilara. "Thomas," she said, surprised but smiling, "I knew you would come." She pulled him inside. The hut was warm and dry. A fire crackled in the hearth. "I knew you would need help," she said. "The forest is tricky, especially in the rain." She gave him dry clothes and a hot cup of tea. "You are brave to come this far," she said. "Now rest. Tomorrow you will continue your journey." The next morning the rain had stopped. The sun peeked through the trees. Ilara gave Thomas a small bag of dried berries and a map marked with extra notes. "Follow this path," she said. "It will lead you to the waterfall." Thomas thanked her and set off again. The forest was bright and green after the rain. The air was fresh and clean. He followed the path, and soon he heard the sound of rushing water. He reached the waterfall. It was beautiful, a curtain of white water falling into a clear pool. He looked behind the waterfall, and there he saw a hidden entrance, just like on the map. He stepped through the waterfall and found himself in a small cave. The cave led to a hidden valley. The valley was filled with sunlight and green fields. In the middle of the valley there was a village. Thomas walked towards the village. The houses were made of wood and stone, with gardens full of flowers and vegetables. People were working in the fields, laughing and talking. A boy and a girl ran towards him. "Who are you?" the boy asked. "What are you doing here?" "My name is Thomas," he said. "I followed a map to find this village." "A map?" the girl asked. "That's strange. We don't get many visitors." "I am Finn," the boy said, "and this is my sister Lila. Come, we will show you our village." They took Thomas through the village. He saw people making baskets, weaving cloth and building houses. Everyone was kind and friendly. They shared their food and stories with him. The village was peaceful and happy. Thomas felt like he had found a home. He learned about their way of life. They lived simply, growing their own food and making their own tools. They respected nature and helped each other. One evening, Thomas noticed that the villagers looked worried. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Our water source is drying up," Lila said. "The stream that feeds our village is getting smaller and smaller." "We think it's blocked," Finn said. "But it's deep in the forest and we're afraid to go there." Old Man Hemlock, a grumpy but wise villager, spoke up. "There's an old legend," he said. "A giant tree fell across the stream, and it's said to be cursed. We've always been afraid to remove it." Thomas thought about it. He had faced his fears in the forest. "Maybe I can help," he said. "I'm a baker, but I'm also good at problem solving." He went with Finn and Lila to see the stream. It was true, a huge old tree had fallen across it, blocking the water. The tree was thick and heavy. "We need to work together," Thomas said. "We can use levers and ropes to move the tree." He explained how to make simple tools and how to use them. The villagers were hesitant, but they trusted Thomas. They worked together, pushing and pulling, lifting and moving. It was hard work, but they didn't give up. Finally, with a loud crack, the tree moved. The water flowed freely again. The villagers cheered and hugged each other. Old Man Hemlock smiled. "You have shown us that we can overcome our fears," he said. "Thank you, Thomas." The village celebrated. They had a big feast with music and dancing. Thomas felt happy and proud. He had helped them, and they had helped him. He had learned that he was braver and stronger than he thought. After a few days, it was time for Thomas to leave. He said goodbye to Finn, Lila, and all the villagers. They gave him gifts of handmade baskets and woven cloth. He walked back through the waterfall and into the forest. He felt different now, more confident and happy. He had found a hidden village, and he had found himself. When he returned to his village, he was greeted with joy. People had missed him. He told them stories of his adventure. He shared his knowledge of simple tools and problem-solving. He changed his bakery. He started teaching others how to bake. He shared his love of simple living and helping others. His bakery became a place of community where people came to learn and share. Thomas never forgot the hidden village. He visited them every year, bringing gifts and stories. He was no longer just a baker. He was an adventurer, a teacher, and a friend. He had found his purpose, and he had found his home in the hearts of others. And every time he baked bread, he remembered the whispering wind, the hidden waterfall, and the power of courage and kindness. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this mystery, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting stories. Keep improving your English by listening to our stories, and see you in the next adventure.